everybody, it's TF Renegade here, and I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Age of the Prime's Aerialbots, who of course turn into the amazing combiner Superion. So, I have a very love-hate relationship with this set. I think this set does a lot of good things, but there's a couple things I wish they would kind of improve on. But we'll talk about more of that later. If you haven't seen these videos before, we like to divide these guys up into groups since this is a pretty long video. So we'll start off with the legs, and then we will move on to the arms, and then we'll round the whole thing off with the commander of the whole pack, that being Silverbolt. And then we'll look at the vehicles and the combine mode and such, but yeah, how about we look at these guys? So starting off with Skydive and Air Raid over here, I think these two turned out pretty good. I'm actually a really big fan of these two. But I know a lot of collectors have their quarrels with these guys, but to me, my hot take is I actually think these two are probably the best out of the 4 deluxes, especially when it comes to the sculpting on the arms. I think these guys just look a lot better, but that's just my personal opinion. If you haven't noticed already though, they are pretty much the same mold. They only have a few differences, so when they get to their vehicle modes that they look like their respective jets. But as they are, I like them a lot. So let's start off with Air Raid over here. So getting up close with Air Raid over here, we could see he's got an awesome head sculpt. I'm a really big fan of how that turned out. He's got amazing paint on his face. I love that nice light gray color. It's very cartoon-esque with the baby blue eyes. It looks pretty nice. And some great silver paint on the top over there. It looks pretty good. When it comes to his chest, he's got some nice indents over here with molded details. It's very like GoBots Leader 1-esque. So I'm really hoping one day we do get like a remold of one of these guys to look like Leader 1, since they are dipping their toes into GoBots. So Hasbro, crossing my fingers on that. Let's make it happen. But as it is, we got a nice Autobot symbol on the chest over here. Nice molded detail all throughout. He's got some boring arms though. It's just a big white piece. He's got some gappage going on the insides over here. You got that. And then when it comes to his waist, it's just an all red piece with a little bit of white on the crotch. Not much going on there. He's got some nice black hips over here. He's got white thighs. Looks pretty nice. When it comes to the legs, he's got black on the backside, but white on the shins. Looks pretty good. And yeah, there's not much going on there. When you flip him around though, you can see pretty much all the plane kibbles back here. He got his wings over here. Top part of the plane sticking out there. And then the back part. So, I mean, it's a lot of kibble, but I don't mind it. It's pretty okay. And the cool part about these guys is you can kind of customize how they look. Like, this is how he looks in the cartoon with the wings sticking out as such. But I like to kind of condense it, kind of compact everything. Some of you might think this looks a little naked, but to me, I think it cleans up a lot better, to my eyes at least. So that's how I like to kind of pose him. So that's it for him. So when it comes to Skydive, I really like the way this guy looks. I love his head sculpt. Like, that looks really nice. I'm a big fan of that. And I love the paint details too. It's very... The thing about the Aerialbots that I love is that they didn't try to make them all look like gray face, blue eyes. They actually gave them different color faces, and they look freaking awesome, man. I really love the paint on this. When it comes to his eyes, though, it's kind of hard to see because it looks like he's squinting, but his blue eyes are in there, and I think that looks pretty good. This time, he's only got one of the indents. The other side is filled in with a nice Autobot symbol. The inside of the chest is black. This time, he's got black shoulders with gray arms over here. And then he's got black hands, and he's got the same gappage going on right there. You can see the backside of his wings and his plain nose over there. He's got all red on the waist this time. Nothing breaking it up there. All black on the thighs and the hips this time, and then gray on the shins this time, and then everything else is black. You flip the guy around over here, and you got some nice gray paint going on back here. He's got nice details on his wings. And yeah, it's just a bunch of plain kibble. You could see they kind of had to change the molding back here since they do turn into different jets. So you got the differences there. And the same thing with him. You can kind of condense everything if that's something you want to do. Like for me, I do like to kind of make it all flush. So you got that right there. That's it for him. So when it comes to accessories, I actually think Skydive got the best weapons out of the 4 deluxes. I really love the way his guns look. So you can kind of see those right there. I think they're pretty nice little weapons. Each of these guys gets 2 blasters, so it's pretty cool that they were able to do that. And then Air Raid over here has some nice guns too. Kind of look like a pair of shotguns. So you got those. So yeah, that's it for accessories. So when it comes to the articulation, since these two are pretty much the same, they move the same as well. So when it comes to the head, they can look to the left, they can look to the right, they can look all the way around if you want him to. Air Raid can look in the air, and he can look down upon you if you so choose. But Skydive, He's got a big head, so his movement is pretty limited. He can't really look down that much, so that's a bit of a bummer with him. When it comes to the arms, they can stick their arm out all the way and move it all the way around, but it does get stuck on the wing. But if you move it, he can move just fine. When it comes to the bicep, he does have a rotation. We love that, and we love that elbow bend as well. But sadly, nothing with the wrist. It can only go in and out for transformation purposes, so that's a bit of a bummer. But we got a nice waist swivel. Nothing gets in the way back there, which is nice, so that's a big win. When it comes to the legs, we can kick forward all the way. We can kick back all the way. We can kick out all the way as well, which is awesome. And then we do have a thigh rotation. We love that a lot. And then with the knee bend, 10 out of 10 on the bend. Always great. And we got little foot rockers. Oh, we got big foot rockers over here, so we can make them stand any way we please. So when it comes to Slingshot and Fireflight, I can definitely say I think these two are the weakest out of the 4 deluxes. You might have a different opinion, but for me, there's just some things on these guys I don't like. Like when it comes to the fists, I think the fist just looks really weird the way it's molded, because the inside of the hand is very flat, and then the outside does look right over here. It's just that inside makes it look like you should flip the whole thing around like it's backwards, and it really bothers me every time I look at it. I'm just like, ugh, I just want to turn it around for some reason. It just doesn't look right, so that bothers me. And then the back of the legs over here have a lot of kibble on the heels as well, so you can see that. And, you know, these are probably things that might not bother you, but for me, it is kind of jarring to look at. It's just a personal opinion, though, so not a biggie. But when it comes to the look of the figures with their colors and head sculpts, I think they look pretty nice. Slingshot over here has the least amount of colors. He's just red, black, and white, so not too much going on there, but he's got a nice head sculpt, and I like the color on his head over here. The backside's pretty bare bones. Up here is just the nose of the plane. Most of the kibble is on his legs, so you got the wings, and then his heels obviously make up the back part of the plane. So you got that, and then Fireflight is the exact same mold. He doesn't have any differences, really. He's just got awesome paint. I love his head sculpt. I like the light gray and baby blue eyes. Looks pretty cool, and the silver on top is a nice touch as well. I like the color variation on his chest. I like the white, red, and blue on there. I think it looks pretty good. His arms are kind of boring. It's just white with some silver on his fist. So you got that right there. He's got awesome colors on his waist. He's got blue on the sides, white in the middle, and then the whole thing is red. Looks pretty good. When it comes to his hips, they are black. His thighs are white. His shins are white, but the backside is red. So I like the white and red look on these guys. I think it looks pretty good. He's got black toes over here, and then the backside, just all red. Same story on the back, though. Nose up here, kibble on the bottom. So, yeah, that's about it for them. So when it comes to the accessories, sadly, they do get the same exact weapons. There's not much variation between them. It's just the same blaster. It's a double barrel blaster, and I think the molding looks really nice on these guns, but again, you get the same blaster with both these guys, so yeah, I mean, that's about it. Now, when it comes to the articulation, it's pretty similar to the other ones. You can look to the left, they can look to the right, they can look all the way around if you want them to. Cannot look up in the air, but can look down upon you if you so choose. You could stick the arm out all the way if you want. You can move it all the way around. You don't really have any problems. There is this little piece it might get stuck on, but it's not a big deal. There is a bicep rotation, which is nice. We do have an elbow bend, which is always awesome, but nothing with the wrist, sadly, so that's a big bummer. We do have an awesome waist swivel. Nothing gets stuck there, so that's nice. You can kick out all the way. You can kick back all the way. You can kick out to there all the way. So that's good stuff there. There is a thigh rotation, which is nice. The knee bend, it's got to be an 8 out of 10. That's a pretty atrocious bend. You could do it a whole 90, but the problem is that crotch piece is just so big, it just gets stuck back here. So that's a big bummer. But you got that there. And of course, we got ankle pivots right there. So we can make our guy stand any way you please. So now we're taking a look at the leader of the Aerialbots, that being Silverbolt. And I gotta say, from the get-go of getting this guy in the commander pack, I was extremely underwhelmed by the Silverbolt aspect of it. Like, aside from this plastic piece of crap right there, we'll talk about that in the accessories. But as it is with the figure, I just was not that impressed with him. I don't think he looks that good. And I'm not saying it's not accurate, because when I do look at him, I think of Silverbolt, but there's just something about it that just doesn't seem right. I don't know what it is. The biggest thing I don't like, though, is the hands. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know who designed this, but this is crap. I'm sorry, but like, I don't even know if it's a budget problem, but this big gappage under here, it's crazy. And there's no wrist rotation on a commander class figure. Like, I get that he's got to turn into Superion and whatnot, but come on. There's got to be a way that could have been incorporated. Maybe not make all this crap on here to make him look like a stupid fortress. That's so dumb. That wasn't even necessary. Like, I would rather get working wrist rotation than a stupid little, I don't even know what to call that thing, like a fort, like a little blaster fort. So I'm just being nitpicky. I just was not very happy with that. It could just be me, it is what it is. But as it is, Silverbolt is Silverbolt. There's not much going on here. He's got an awesome head sculpt. I really like the baby blue eyes. I like the silver face paint. I think that's pretty good. I do like the angular design of Silverbolt on his chest over here. I always did like that about the character, so very flat. I like that a lot. He's got a nice Autobot symbol over here. Looks pretty good. He's got some little wing details on his shoulders. Got some nice paint on the inside of his arms. Just gray over here. Black fists over there. He's got red on his chest. Then he's got gray all throughout here. Nice colors on his thighs. The rest is just gray, black, and some red on the sides over here. You flip him around. You can see all his plane parts. It's pretty, it's pretty jarring. It's a lot of plane bits. But it is what it is. He has to turn into a huge jet. And I'm not really going to knock it for this backpack. I'm not that upset about it. The thing I like to do, though, I like to fold the wings back. I know it's not accurate to his cartoon look, but I think he looks a lot better without all that kibble on the side of him. So it's a personal thing, but I like the way it looks with the wings folded backwards. I think he looks more streamlined. So, yeah, that's it for him. He looks okay. I'm not going to say he looks amazing, but I think he looks okay. So when it comes to the articulation on Silverbolt, he can look to the left, he can look to the right, he can look all the way around if you want him to. He can look up in the air and look down upon you if you so choose. He can lift his arm out all the way, which is nice. He can lift it all the way around if you want. It just gets caught on this wing, so you got to watch out for that. He does have a bicep rotation, which we love. He has an elbow bend, which is great. But when it comes to the articulation on his wrist, we got none. We just go into that stupid little hole that he's got there. So that's a bummer. When it comes to the waist articulation, he does have a waist swivel. It just gets caught on his backpack, which sucks, but he does have it. So that's good at least. He can kick forward all the way. He can kick back to there. He's got a lot of crap in the way, so can't go back all the way. He can kick out all the way, though. He can get a really nice kick out of that, so that looks pretty good. He does have a thigh rotation, and he does have an awesome knee bend, but it does get stuck on a lot of stuff, but it can go the whole way there, so that's a 10 out of 10 on the bend. And when it comes to his ankles, he does have ankle pivots, so you can make Silverbolt stand any way you please. So when it comes to the accessories of Silverbolt, he does come with a little blaster right here. So you can go ahead and put that in his hand if you want him to have a little blaster, or you can do what I like to do and just skip that entirely and stick it on the big blaster, since you will need that for Superion later. And he's got this fortress piece. Like, you can make up the pieces of Superion and just kind of turn it into this little fort thing with a little blaster on top. It's an option. I don't really care about it. I think it's awful. I'm going to be brutally honest. I think it's awful, but if you like it, all power to you. I'm not going to judge you for liking it. I just don't like this. I think it's useless and a waste of resources. When it is in this mode, though, I do prefer to have the wings clip backwards. I think it looks more menacing that way. I think when the wings are out, it looks a little goofy. So I like to keep it this way if it is in this mode, which is never. But yeah, and I hate the freaking way this thing clips in too. This is stupid. But yeah, that's about it for his accessories. Not much going on here. We'll talk about this gun more when we get to the Superion part. But we're actually not done with this stupid piece here, because it actually does another thing. So we're going to look at that right now with the vehicles. Hold your horses there, folks. I almost forgot about the robot comparison. I was pretty upset about that stupid little fortress thing that I forgot about this. So let's go ahead and start off with Huffer over here. Since he is a smaller deluxe, you can see how he looks with everybody. I think he looks pretty good. See, I got him. And then we'll go ahead and slap our boy Trax in there, since he's a normal size deluxe. Uh-oh. those legs. There we go. So you can see how he looks with everybody. So you got him. And then we'll go ahead and put a bad guy in there. How about we go ahead and slap Vortex? Because we will bring him out later when we get to the Superion mode, since he can do something cool. So you got him. And then how about we go ahead and put a Combiner Wars figure in here. I don't have any of the smaller Aerialbots, but I do have Dreadwing right there. So you can see how he looks. He's pretty much the same size as them. So you got that. And how about we go ahead and slap in the Combiner Wars Silverbolt. Put him in the middle there. You can see how he looks. He's pretty enormous. So you can see him there. And we'll go ahead and put him next to the new Silverbolt as well. Move him over. You can see how he looks. I do think the newer one's better, but I do like the whites on the old one. I think it looks pretty good. So you got him. And finally, let's go ahead and we'll put in a commander class. Let's put Ultra Magnus in here, this big beastie fella. So let's go ahead and move Silverbolt to the middle. We'll put Ultra Magnus back there, and you can see how he towers over everybody. Look how huge he is. So there you go. So looking at the Aerialbots from a distance, I can say this much. I think from a distance, they look fantastic, but it's when you start getting closer that you start to see the flaws in them. So we'll start with Fireflight, and I think he looks really nice. I like the red and grays on him. I think it looks fantastic. I love the white wings over here with the yellow and blue. You got a nice Autobot symbol right there. His tail fin has nice silver with yellow and blue as well. When you flip him around, it's just his robot parts, but I think they cleaned him up pretty nice. So you have him. I don't like the landing gear, though. I think it sits just a little too close to the ground. But that's my personal opinion. If you like that, that's all power to you. So you got him right there. And then we'll look over here at Slingshot, and I think he looks pretty good as well. I like the black stripe right there. I think it looks good. He's got some nice wings with the red and blue over here. And then his tail fin's got a nice curved blue line there. I think that looks pretty nice. Nice orange cockpit. I like that. Nice black on the nose piece. So I think it looks pretty good. And then the underside, it's just robot kibble. Same thing with the landing gear. So you got him. So taking a look at Skydive over here, we can see that he looks pretty good. I actually really do enjoy the look of him. I like the light grays on the top. I like the lightning bolt details on the wings. And I like the one on his tail fin as well. I think that's pretty cool. And then the front of the plane, standard jet. Nothing too exciting there. But when you flip him to the underside, there's just a lot of kibble going on here, and I just don't like the look of it. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't look that good to me. I'm not a huge fan about that. But I really like the landing gear. I think the way they sit above the ground like this, I think they look pretty good. I thought the landing gear was at the nose at first, so when I first got these guys, I was like, why can't I get the landing gear out? No, it's right here on the chest. So you got this little piece that kind of sticks out there. So I think it looks okay. Definitely not my favorite, but, you know, he does its job. So you got him. So we're going to look over here at Air Raid, and he's a little bit boring with the colors. He's just black and white. Nothing too exciting. He's got a gray cockpit right there. So you got that. And then the underside is ugly too. You can see all his robot bits. I think it looks worse on Air Raid just because of the colors. Like on Skydive, I think his colors do a better job at making it look part of the jet, but with Air Raid, it just looks so jarring. Like you can just see his arms, his feet, and I think it's just the white that makes it look kind of goofy. So you got that. Oh, I also forgot he does have little jet boosters on the back molded in, so that looks pretty cool. So that's it for him. So last but not least, we're going to touch on the big boy right here. We got Silverbolt, and I would say this is probably my least favorite, definitely. I can say this much. I think the molded details on the top part are excellent. I love the windows on him. I like the cockpit design. I think that looks pretty cool. I like the little nose piece here with the black. It looks pretty nice as well. He's got nice Autobot symbols, but he's just kind of boring. And I'm not saying that's this toy's fault, but I think Silverbolt in general is just kind of boring with the colors. But I do think this looks nice on the top at least. And then you come to the bottom, it's like, what? You know, like this is literally just all Silverbolt. There's nothing here that's different. It looks like Silverbolt just kind of crouched down and the rest just kind of folded up. So I'm not a huge fan of that. And the Superion head is just sticking out right there. He's got really like cool landing gear, but aside from that, I'm not too fond of that. The landing gear back here is also weird too. It's part of his waist piece, and it just kind of folds up. It works, but I don't know. This just isn't my cup of tea. I really don't like the legs sticking out over here. Like his feet, I think the feet just sticking out from the sides makes it look kind of worse. So I'm just not a huge fan. Like from a distance, he looks awesome, but it's when you get up close where it's like, okay. And here we have the Silverbolt. We have Silverbolt here with his extra accessories on the back of his plane, and wow, Hasbro, this is something. This is something. That's all I can say. This is definitely something. The one cool thing that I did notice is if you cover up this part, this looks like the Arc. It looks very similar to the Autobot Arc, so that at least is pretty cool. But aside from that, this is pretty special. Oh, that just popped off. That's great. I don't know. I don't know what the thought process here was with this. I could definitely say from seeing the pictures of Onslaught, I think his is going to be much better than Superion's, because I get it. Like, what can you do with all this crap? You know, it's not like Motormaster and all them where you can turn it into a trailer. Like, I get that there's not much you can do with it, but I don't know, man. This was probably just not the move on that. So I'm not a big fan of that extra piece right there. But when it comes to these guys, I forgot to say they do have ports underneath. So if you want to take their weapons, you can go ahead and stick those suckers on there if you want to do that. So they can go ahead and blast the Decepticons if you want to. So you do have that option right there. So for vehicle comparison, let's go ahead and slap Puffer in here. And you can see how he looks. He's just a tiny little truck. I think he looks pretty good. So you got him. And then we'll bring out Trax. And you can see how he looks. He's just a normal size deluxe. Nothing too fancy here. So you got that. And then we'll bring out Age of the Primes Vortex. And you can see how he looks with everybody else. I think he looks pretty good. So you got him. And then I'll bring out Power of the Primes Dreadwing. I think he's a little bit smaller than them. I don't know. Maybe it's the way he looks. I'm not too sure. Maybe he's the same. Probably the same. I'm not too sure. Yeah, we'll say he's the same. And then we'll bring out Combiner War Silverbolt. And we got to move these guys out of the way. We got a big boy on our hands here, so we got to move them. So get out of the way there. And you can kind of see how these guys look. I think the older one's a little bit smaller. Just a little bit. I'm not too sure. But you know what? I'd be a liar if I said I didn't like the older one just a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe it's the white. I think the white just makes that mold look really good. But the new one's pretty good too. He's got a lot of detail, but I don't know. I just really like the colors on the old one a little bit more. But you know what? With the newer one, I will say this much. On the underside of him, he is cleaned up much better than the older one, but it's still not a very high standard. I do wish that one day we'll get a Silverbolt without all the crap on the underside, but we'll see. We'll look out for that in the future. But yeah, you got him right there. And then last but not least, let's go ahead and bring out Commander Class Ultra Magnus, and we gotta have to shove him back there. Oh God, we're making a mess. Okay, so we got him in here, and you can see how they all look together. And if you want to, you could take Silverbolt and put him on the top there. So there you go. And here we have the Aerialbots fully combined into Superion. And I gotta say, this guy does look really good. I wasn't gonna take the initial dive on him. I was like, I'm not that interested. But after Skybound Comics, I was like, you know what? I got to get this guy in my collection ASAP. And I'm very happy with the Age of the Primes version. I know the photos make him look kind of wonky, but in person, he does look much better. Like, I was actually surprised. I was like, oh, crap. He does look pretty good on the shelf next to Devastator. So I'm kind of worried about Bruticus, though, because he's a skeleton model as well. And I think the skeleton model works better for Superion since he's a lankier combiner. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, I have trust in Hasbro, but for Superion, I think it looks pretty good. I actually like the way this guy turned out a lot. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the figure. So taking a closer look at Superion's head sculpt, we can see that it's pretty good. I think it looks very accurate to how he looked in the cartoon and in the Skybound comics. So I'm pretty happy with that. I love the antennas on here. It's much, much better than Combiner Wars. I cannot stress that enough. It's like big upgrade. I love his visor, and I love his little mouth plate there. I think it looks pretty cool. When it comes to his chest, he is covering up most of Silverbolt because he's just kind of folded up in there pretty weird. So you got this little flap here, and I'm happy that they were able to use that instead of trying to integrate it into Silverbolt. This is a much better look, and I love that broad chest. I think it looks really nice on here. When it comes to the arms, they just kind of separate. You know, it's not like too interesting. I think they look good, but I mean, there's nothing really that interesting about them. They are on ratchets, which is pretty cool though. But I'm pretty sure you need that because of how big this guy is. And the same thing over here with Slingshot. He's just cut in half, so nothing too exciting there. When we move down, I was going to pick him up, but I think we should just move the camera down. So when we look at his waist piece over here, he's got some nice flaps over here. Nice red flaps with some molded details on there. Nice molded details on the crotch too. He's got some gray and red right there. When you move down, he's got some nice colors down here and molded details. Looks pretty good. And then, let's go ahead and move the camera again. So when we move down to the feet, we can see it's just some molded flaps right here that kind of hide the back part of Superion. And he's got some nice toes over here. But when it comes to the colors, there's not much really that interesting about it. It's just red and black. So, I mean, it looks pretty good. So it's when we flip this guy to the back is when we see the real prize of this. These two are just kind of folded up back here. And I think they look kind of goofy. I'm not going to lie. I think these are not the best way to kind of store these guys, but it is what it is. And I would say that's probably my biggest complaint with the skeletal combiners is that these guys suffer the most because they just turn into weird, like, condensed backpacks on the feet. You know, like, it doesn't look like it's part of the combiner. It just looks like it's just here to be here. And I'm not a big fan of that. But when we move up, Superion does have a backpack from Silverbolt, but I think it looks much better on him than Silverbolt. So, there you go. So when it comes to accessories, Superion does have a big old gun here. You can see he's got a nice handle there, and then he's got this empty square in the back, and that's going to line up with that square over there. So you can go ahead and tab that in, and it makes it extra secure. So it's not going to be like Devastator's gun where it was wobbling. It's actually pretty secure. So that looks pretty good on him. And, I mean, the other thing you can do, I don't do this, but I've seen other people doing it. You can take their weapons and put them on the wings and such for storage. I'm not doing that because I think it ruins the look a little bit. But it is storage if you don't want to have, you know, the weapons laying all over the place. So it's good to have that on the figure at least. So when it comes to the articulation on Superion, he can look to the left, he can look to the right, he can look all the way around. If you want him to, he can look up just a little bit, and he can look down upon you if you so choose. When it comes to his arm, he can stick that sucker all the way out. Let's go ahead and raise that up a little bit so you can see that, and then he can twist it all the way around. You got no problems there, which is nice. He does have a bicep swivel, which is excellent. He does have an elbow bend, which is nice, and he has a wrist swivel. Would you look at that? They do know how to do that. It can also go in and out because of transformation into that stupid fortress he turns into. So you have that. So let's go ahead and move down a level so we can see his waist. And of course, he does have a waist rotation. Now, it's kind of limited because of this piece right here. So that kind of sucks, but it does move around, and it moves pretty good, actually. It's pretty tight, so I like that. So when it comes to his legs, he can kick forward all the way. As you can see, he can kick back all the way as well. So you can see that. And then he can kick out to the side if you want him to get a nice kick, which is excellent. He does have a thigh rotation, so we love that. And he has a knee bend, but it's not a 9 out of 10 because of his little airplane nose sticking into his leg there. So you have that right there. And of course, we got ankle pivots. We love that. So he can stand. Let's try to get that any way you please. We like that. So before we do the comparisons, I'm going to bring out the original Combiner Wars one. And you can see it's a little bit of a Frankenstein since I don't have the Aerialbots. So we can get a pretty good gist, though, of what we're dealing with because the torsos, and I really do think the new one is 10 times better. I love the old head sculpt, though. I really do like this head sculpt, but these antennas are so crap. I'm so happy with the new ones. And the chest. The chest is so much better on the new one than this one. It's not bad. It has its charm, but I'm really not a big fan. And when it comes to the legs, like, it's night and day. Like, I don't know how these even passed back then. I can't believe we even got this as a combiner. But yeah, you can see how chunky the new one is and how skinny the old one is, because these are like Silverbolt's arms. So his arms make up the legs on the Superion. And yeah, goes about as well as you expect it would. So, I mean, for 2015... I guess it's okay, but, you know, we definitely have gotten a better upgrade with the new one. So for comparison, let's go ahead and stick Huffer in here. You can see he's super tiny compared to Superion. So you got that right there. And then next we'll bring out Trax. Put him right there too. So you can see how he looks. Looks pretty good. So you got that. And then we'll bring out Mr. Ultra Magnus. So you can see he's way too tall. He should not be that tall compared to Superion, but there you go with that. And then we're going to bring out a special guest since we got him. I got to grab him. He's pretty big. Of course, we got to bring out Studio Series 86 Devastator. And you can see how these two look. Devastator absolutely towers over Superion, but I really love the way these two look together. It's awesome. The last thing I wanted to touch on is that you can actually take Vortex here and put him on Superion's arm just fine. And that's because Vortex is actually like a retool of the Slingshot mold. So he fits in here absolutely perfect. And I don't think he looks awesome, but if you don't have one of the Aerialbots, but you do have Vortex, he is a pretty good substitute to have in there. So I just wanted to touch on that. So what are my final thoughts on Transformers Age of the Prime Superion / Aerialbots? I'm going to say it's pretty good. I don't want to say it's a win, but I like the set a lot. I think they're pretty cool to look at. But aside from that, like, the individual robots are just okay. And then the jet modes are okay. So this set is really just for Superion. I think Superion is definitely the standout of this whole thing. And it's just up to you, you know? Do you want to get an Autobot combiner right now so you have one for Devastator or Bruticus since he's coming soon? Or do you want to just skip him, you know? Are you a Superion fan? You know, like, if you're a fan, then I think you should get him. But if you don't care about Superion, this is probably a very easy skip. And like I said, I like this set. I think it's pretty cool. I like the Skybound comics version of Superion, so I wanted a Superion to have in my collection. But really, aside from the aesthetics on this guy, I really don't see much of a point to get him unless you're a fan of him or you just want an Autobot combiner, you know? So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be it for this guy. So when it comes to the collector's rating, I'll give Superion an 8 because he is solid, but his robot modes, like the individuals and the jet modes, are just kind of okay to me. I don't think they're terrible, so I'm not going to give them a low score for that, but for what they are, they're just okay. The Superion mode is definitely the standout, and he will look fantastic on your shelf if you want to get him. He's got great articulation. He moves really well. So I'd say an 8 is perfect for this guy. When it comes to the parents rating, I'd probably give him a 7.5. It really depends on if your kids want a combiner. I would definitely say Devastator is the one you want to get for them. But if you can't get Devastator, this guy is definitely okay too. He's pretty easy too. Like, I'd say this guy is like easier than Devastator, but Devastator's not that hard. So this is like an easier version of something that's already easy, you know? So it's really going to be up to you whether you want to get these for your kids or not. I don't think it's difficult, and I think they'll enjoy it if they have it. He does come with a buttload of little tiny accessories that I know will definitely get lost. Now, there is places to store those weapons, but you know how it is. It's going to get lost. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, it's just up to you whether you want to get it. So wrapping this video up, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys like the videos. That means a lot to me. And leave your comments down below. That's the most important part of these videos, is what you guys think. Do you guys love this guy? Do you hate him? Or are you just kind of meh about him? So go ahead and leave those comments down below, and I will see you guys next time.